You know, it's supposed to go, dude. So this is my 1971 Ford F100 that we just took on Hot Rod Power Tour West, over 1,100, 1,200 miles or something like that. Pretty much from San Diego, LA, back to San Diego, up to Indio, then to Lake Havasu, and then ending in Chandler. It was a long road trip in this thing. Over 100-degree days, pretty much every single day. And then while being in Arizona, killing one of our cars.
Yeah, very nice.
On the way back, we killed this one.
Snapped in half.
So if you guys haven't seen the video, I would recommend going back and seeing it because you can see how I managed to do this to this truck. Very less than ideal, obviously. But either way, we have a lot of work to do because in less than 3 weeks, this thing is gonna be on its way to SEMA in Las Vegas, which is an amazing opportunity for me. And now being a car builder in the industry, if I'm gonna go to SEMA, I wanna put my best foot forward and bring something that I genuinely think is worth bringing. Now, when a lot of people think of SEMA, they either think of really, really nice cars that are basically unobtainium, or they think of cars that look great, but they're actually garbage. And there's a whole spectrum in between that you'll find if you've been to the show. Now, as you can see behind me, this thing is not bodyworked and or painted, nor will it probably ever be, but I do think we can make it just a little bit better on the inside as well as the outside. I have a lot of plans and a big laundry list of things to change on this before SEMA. Things like wheels, tires, suspension, obviously a new drive shaft, some drivetrain upgrades, interior upgrades, and external upgrades. Because even though this is a patina vehicle, I do want to make sure it looks as best as I can, and there's plenty of things that even on it bothers me. So we're gonna dive into this. There's a laundry list of things that we have to change on this truck, and believe it or not, starting with the drivetrain. We're gonna be pulling the drivetrain out of this thing, stripping it down to basically nothing, getting everything prepped for paint, put it all back together in time for the SEMA show, and hopefully we make it. So you're probably wondering why I would be taking the drivetrain out of this truck if, as I said, it works perfectly fine, which it does. Well, like I said, I want to put my best foot forward, and I've built this thing. This is my high school truck, so I've had it for a long time. And there's plenty of stuff that is not done the right way, and there's tons of parts that are spray painted that could be sprayed with a gun and done a lot more efficiently. So I overall want to just clean up the setup that's in this thing, and I think it's worth pulling the engine and drivetrain out of it to put it to the side, clean all that stuff up, because I have put about 8,000 miles on this thing since I built it in the last year, and those miles were not easy on it. So there's plenty of dirt and grime and debris everywhere, so I want to make sure this thing is as clean as I can get it before it goes to Las Vegas, starting with the engine bay. So with that being said, let's get in and tearing this thing apart. All right, so one of the first things I need to do with this thing is actually check to make sure that the transmission tail shaft is not bent, because when I threw this drive shaft out of it, what commonly happens is it either tears the entire back of the transmission off, which it didn't do because this one is carbon fiber. Instead of pogo sticking and rolling the truck and killing me, it just folded and shattered the drive shaft like it's designed to. But with that in mind, it did still throw the slip joint out of the back of the transmission, so I just want to make sure that's still straight. So I'm going to fire it up, put it in gear, look at the tail shaft of that thing, and make sure it's still good before I send this thing off to get gone through. This is the first time I've started it since that happened, so hopefully everything else is fine. I'm assuming it is. First gear rolling right now. Are you okay? What the heck happened?
I got it in my mouth.
You know, it's supposed to go. Dude! Here, do you need to. Oh, the whole plug came out. Yeah. I'll just hold it here. Let go, you're good. I got it. Oh wow, that's working tremendously. See how easy that was? Easy. How does it taste?
I don't recommend coolant.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell as good as it
I
looks.
was always told it tastes like cotton candy.
I think I need something like alcoholic to wash this stuff.
Oh yeah, we got plenty of that. Here you go, have fun. Hey, that's not bad, right? Good success rate. Well, one mess down. Got plenty to go. Goodness, this is gonna be fun. All right, getting this thing torn down. It's an interesting sight, familiar sight, seeing this thing torn apart for like the 900th time. You guys are probably getting confused as to why this thing comes apart every freaking 6 months. And no, it's not broken. I'm gonna keep saying that. A lot of people on my Instagram are like, oh, you blew it up. No, motor's fine. I'm not gonna take it apart. I'm not doing anything. We're just gonna pull the air cleaner and the valve covers off so we don't scratch them. We'll be able to pull this thing out. And you can see everything inside here is looking real good. Just gotta clean it up, clean and freshen up. You can see the frame's really dirty, really nasty. Firewall could definitely use some touch up. I mean, it's SEMA. I want stuff to be nicer. This wiring could definitely be addressed. Clean up all these connections, put heat shrink on everything, get rid of this stupid Harbor Freight crap. Yeah, overall, just get everything cleaned up. You can see this fender well area. It's just dirty. Gotta clean everything, so it'll be worth it. But yeah, we're gonna get the motor out. Next thing, I'm gonna try to take the motor and tranny in one shot and leave the interior in it, because the way I have this thing set up with the shift boot, normally, you pull the transmission, you have to pull the seats as well as the carpet to get the shift boot out. So you can get the transmission far enough back to drop down and out. But in this sense, what I should be able to do is just push the transmission down and tilt it and get the motor up and out of the truck. The hardest part is gonna be getting it out without scratching up the header wrap. So that's gonna be my new challenge. So see how it goes. I pulled the carburetor off and forgot to take the washers off, and one of them slipped and hit the intake and then bounced inside the motor. I found it. See that little bastard right there? So I've got it in the cylinder, so now I'm gonna go ahead and fish it out with this guy. Got the valve open enough. I've counted everything, so I know there's only one of them. This is always like every car guy's like worst nightmare is dropping something inside the motor. And everybody makes mistakes, but man, that is embarrassing. Super expensive engine, and I drop a freaking washer in it. Ugh. This is what being stupid and then being victorious looks like. Don't be an idiot like me. I got it though. Little booger.
That took you a little bit.
Yeah, that was like 30 minutes trying to fish that out. Either way, we got them all inventoried now, so we're good. I'm gonna check all the other cylinders. I watched the video, only one went in, but now I'm paranoid. So now try to pull the headers and pull this thing out in one shot. Cool. Very me fashion, the motor's out again, but it's okay, it's for a good reason. So like we showed earlier, the tail shaft of this thing, it looks like it's a little bit wallowed and bent. So that's gonna go out and get a refresh from the guys over at SilverSport. Massive thank you to those guys. The best transmission group I've ever worked with in my entire life. The guys over at SilverSport, McLeod. I got this thing set up right. I'm gonna pop the shifter off, the STX shift shifter. We're gonna keep that. So when we get this thing back, we can slap it back on and it goes right back in the truck. So our goal is basically by the time I get the firewall and everything ready to go, all prettied and painted up, the new transmission will arrive and we'll be able to stack this thing in there really nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this thing apart, slide the transmission out of it. Bell housing and everything will probably stay on the motor because I just need to clean the motor. I don't need to do anything to it. We'll pop this thing back on and we'll get it back in the truck. So yeah. Nope, guess not. Never mind. Suction. Agata bagata. So much easier. Oh my gosh, my car's still in one piece. Damn, this thing still exists? Man, you're jamming a High School Musical or some shit here. Man, you're really close to the steering wheel. Can you not reach the pedals? I'm just short. This thing still looks good. If you haven't seen the video of us wrapping this, I highly recommend it. It came out absolutely badass. And homie's been driving it. Dude, you got way too much rear brake going on in this thing. We still need to do something about that. Wow. Maybe we'll play with that today. Goodness. All right, well, this is a sight to behold. This thing is very, very gutted right now. Whole front end's apart, and we're getting ready to paint this thing. So everything's on the front end's mostly gonna stay together. It's just gonna get clean. I'm gonna mask off the beams, and we're gonna shoot the whole firewall. I gotta get the catch can and some of this other accessories off. You can see that rattle can texture. It doesn't really look good in harsh lighting like I have it right now. In the truck, it doesn't look too bad, but overall, I just think I can do a lot better. So one thing we're also gonna do, pull the catch can, weld on cap on the top, weld some fittings on it since we have the ability to do that now. We've got the inner fenders over here. These are all stripped down. I was gonna buy brand new ones. Lead time wasn't good. Price point didn't make sense. So what we're gonna do is just refix the old ones. The only downside about fixing my old ones, there's a little bit of rust right there I gotta fix, and there's a crack right where the battery was. So normally on these trucks, there's a heavy battery right here, and these bolts, I can tell I didn't put those bolts in. It weighed it down and actually split the fender right there. So we gotta, Travis went ahead and he drilled a couple relief holes in the ends of the crack. So I'm gonna cut it here, and then weld that all back up. And then I got a lot of blocking and fill work to do. So I'm gonna basically take all of the texture out of these fenders. So there's a lot of texture in these. You can see when the light hits it, all that texture is gonna go away. So we're gonna get rid of all that on both sides. Pretty much all the entire surface area of the core support and the fender wells. The core support's full of it, so I'm gonna try to get these things all blocked out. So we're gonna separate the radiator and then just basically go to town doing bodywork and metalwork on these and get these things prepped for paint. Because Dave will be here on Sunday to spray everything. So hopefully we can do everything in one shot. We're gonna do the grill inserts, the whole front clip, inner fenders, core support, door panels, and the firewall all in one shot with the frame. So hopefully all in one go. And as you can see right here, the magnificent guys over at Silver Sport sent out a replacement transmission for the truck. Because like we showed, the tail housing and this one's bent. So this one's gonna go get a rebuild and then they'll hang on to that. So pretty much we just traded transmission. Same thing, just this one's already rebuilt just to expedite the process for SEMA. So massive thank you to these guys. The best warranty program in the game. If you guys ever have an issue with the transmission, they're on it. But if you're not an idiot like me and don't break it, you'll never have that problem. So either way, massive thank you to the guys over at Silver Sport. If you want to spec out a transmission for your vehicle, I would highly recommend it. I'll have a link down in the description. You can call them up, tell them how already got, what you're trying to do. They'll get you set up with all of the right pieces from front to back. So let's get into it. We got a lot of work to do. This is a pretty common issue. Fender's oil canning right here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna shrink and stretch this. So what I wanna do is if it's oil can here, I would wanna shrink this area. So I'm gonna expand all the areas around it. You can see it comes up now. Literally already that, I can tell it didn't. That's it. Okay, now it's got a bigger oil can, so. Essentially what we're wanting to do is expand the areas around it and shrink the area in the middle. All right, much better. So now it's straight, we'll just sand all this. There's a little dip right here, but I think that's fine because it's kind of naturally how it bends. So we'll just sand it all, we'll be good to go. Next thing on the list, we're gonna pull this thing out and get everything cleaned up. You can see there's like a good layer of grease. Marcel actually already went and scrubbed most of it, so it should come off for the most part, cross my fingers, fairly easily. But yeah, we gotta prep all this stuff, and then once I get all the grease and everything off, we can go ahead and sand it, and I'll be able to DA everything and get some filler on this thing to get it smooth. You can see there's a little bit of waviness that I wanna get rid of on the firewall, so we're gonna get that all smoothed out. Then I gotta go ahead and cut this out and get this all modified so we can get primered. So let's get this thing rolled out and get it cleaned up. getting cranking on this thing, got all the hubs and axles out of it. We were basically changing a lot on the suspension on this thing, wheels, tires. We're getting away from the lug pattern that was on this thing. There's a whole story and process with that I'll explain in another video. We have everything sanded. I welded up all the holes in the firewall that I care to do. I fixed the ignition box mount on the back side of the firewall, welded that up, welded these holes up, blended it up, blended these ones in, getting ready to primer everything, because as Dave told me, we primer, then we do the body filler, not the other way around. Correct, not direct to metal. So we prime it first so the Bondo has something to grab.
Yep.
Okay, so I did that backwards on a couple other projects. So I'm learning the right way to do it, I guess, per se. So as you can see, I've got everything stripped clean. I'm starting to match the beams because the beams are still really nice. You can probably see my K-member has gotten whacked at some point. So there's a big dent right there. And there's a little buckle right here, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect anything on the front of the rails. This part's still true and straight. So truck's not bent or broken or anything, but everything is getting prepped. It's all sanded. I basically went 40, 80, and then we're just gonna prime it. From there, I'll be able to do filler work and block it out all the way up to, I think, about 400. We'll block it up to 400 before base cut, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so there you go. While we're doing that, we're doing Marcelo's engine over here, so we got that thing ready to rock. This is a 408 stroker that he's built. This is gonna go in his 71 F250 that he's got. So we haven't shown that on the channel. It's a really cool truck. It's got a ZF5 in it. It's two-wheel drive. We're gonna do it similar to the crew cab and put it on 37s and lift it up, or 35s beams. It'll be a really nice truck, but this is gonna be a really cool candy wine red. We're gonna shoot the color right now. So you can see right here, he's got it all mixed up. He's getting it mixed up, but it's a pretty cool color. We're gonna get him spraying that, and then we're gonna get this thing primered so we can let that dry, because the primer needs a full 24 hours to dry before we can start actually working with it. So we're gonna get that shot, come back in the morning, we'll be able to body work it all out. So pick you guys up when we're done shooting. Got everything primered up last night. You can see it came out pretty good. Couple spots decided they wanted a wrinkle, and the reason that happens is because of spray paint. Because this is, the hardener in this is a lot more aggressive than a spray paint. Essentially, once that hits it and it starts to bite down in, it'll curl up the paint underneath. So unless I bare metaled the whole firewall, that might have been inevitable, but either way, I'll just be able to lightly sand those spots out, and then I'm gonna basically flood this whole thing, get rid of all these little dimples. I have to keep all the holes that are still here. I've welded up all the ones that I don't need, and we're pretty much just gonna get rid of the texture. Now that it's in a light color, you can see the texture that I'm talking about. So that kind of waviness from a crappy stamp from the factory, that's what we're gonna be getting rid of. So I'm gonna be getting rid of a lot of that all across the firewall. So let's get into it. Alright guys, I'm just jamming away at this thing, getting it all blocked out. You can see I'm kind of highlighting my low spots. I'm almost done. Just trying to get that last little bit, and this is the part that takes forever. But you can see pretty much everything that goes on comes right back off. It's a little, this area is super, super difficult. I think I'm gonna try that again. I've done it twice, so I'm gonna redo it one more time. Everything else looks good though. This looks smooth. Everything with a red circle around it is just a slight high spot or low spot needs to be filled, just to kind of help level everything. But we are close. I mean, this firewall looks really, really good. Not too shabby. I wouldn't call myself a body guy, but that ain't bad, I'll take it. So I'm gonna do my last round of that and go ahead and get this thing primered. Well, that looks really good. It is currently 12:30, the middle of the night. I'm here by myself. I'm the last person on the property getting this thing primered so we can get this thing shot tomorrow in color. Now currently it is technically now Wednesday, but Tuesday essentially, and we don't even have to really leave for a week and a half. We're 13 days out from the show, about a week and a half out from this thing having to be completed by, and realistically I probably don't even need to be here right now. I could probably just push this out a day, but if my body will allow, I'm gonna try to get ahead as I can, because if you know anything about SEMA, the crunch becomes very real last minute, and I don't know what bumps I'm gonna run into, so I wanna get this thing assembled as fast as I can, and if I get done early, that makes it even better, because there's still a lot of stuff I wanna do even when the truck's done, like correcting the paint and actually doing some cut and polishing work on the exterior of the truck, just to really make it look that much better. But either way, that's besides the point. This came out absolutely amazing. This is a lot to take in one video, I already know. Coming from Power Tour into this is definitely not what any of you guys expected, nor did it actually need it necessarily. My truck is nice. I'm not gonna sit here and say it wasn't, but it did have a rattle canned engine bay. Now, this was done, years ago at my house before I had my shop, and a bunch of really, really talented individuals and friends to help me along the way, and I've acquired a lot more skills from then to now as well. But I did do a pretty damn good on that rattle can job, but I think we can do a hell of a lot better here, which is what we're doing now. So I'm very, very thankful for all you guys watching along, grabbing the merchandise, and supporting me and subscribing to the channel and watching the videos, as well as all of my amazing friends for helping me along the way. I could not do it without you guys. But this thing is going to SEMA, and it's going to be the best damn thing that I can put together in 2 weeks, whether it kills me or not. And I hope you guys are excited to see the transformation for this thing come to life. We'll call it the same, but different, but better. So I'm excited to show you the new version of this thing. It's going to be definitely eye-opening, and I've never seen anything like this on an F100, so I'm really excited to show you guys what I have planned. So with that being said, drop a like on the video, let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video where we pick this thing back up for final paint and get this motor stabbed in the truck and get it ready for SEMA 2024. I will be in North Hall. I will reveal the booth later, but if you guys are at SEMA, I'm hoping to see you there. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later, guys.